Hey everyone,
Hello.
and welcome back to another episode of... No, okay, just leave me hanging. Welcome back to What's Your Favorite Scary Story? My name's Alyssa.
My name's Marlene.
And we're happy to have you guys here.
Yeah, thank you for including yourselves in this moment in your life.
They're including themselves in this moment in their life.
No, for allowing us to
be included in a moment in their life.
In your life.
There
I'm
you
so
go.
sorry. That was very...
It's okay. I'm sure they'll forgive you.
Yes, but welcome back to the world's number one podcast. In my world, at least.
Yeah. It's your only podcast.
Yeah, my number one podcast. Hey, it was number one in my Spotify Wrapped last year.
There you go.
So
damn.
It is number one in my world.
That's pretty impressive. But yeah, this is the podcast where you guys pick the story. So that's pretty cool.
You choose a spooky story, any kind of story. We talk about it. Well, Alyssa talks about it.
I research it and I talk about it and you respond.
And I just, either love it or hate it. And you will know
yeah, you will.
How I feel about it.
Well, you have your own segment.
I do.
So you contribute something.
Yes, I do. I still have to do a little bit.
You keep us updated on the Conjuring house owner and all that stuff.
Which I have a small update.
Ooh. Let's talk about that.
Okay, cool. She's just the same. Just
samesies, Jacqueline girl.
Yeah, she's just uploading like random, very tin foil. What's it called? Like, tin hat.
Tinfoil.
Tinfoil
I don't know
hat.
What the actual
things.
phrase is. I guess like your stereotypical conspiracy theorist.
Just very conspiracy is just very she said that she was born like intersex.
Which I mean is possible.
Very possible. I mean the statistics on that are very like it's like 1 in something obviously.
1 in something.
1 in something babies are born like intersex, and it's medically possible.
Right. Just like a random thing to talk about?
It's just a random thing.
I didn't see the post.
It's a random fact to share if it's true. It's like, hey, there was a whole thing behind it.
It's like, unless it's related to like current political climate, but I feel like it was.
It was. She was talking about kind of touching base on doctors. Allegedly, doctors just I guess like unaliving babies that are born intersex, and then just telling the mother like, hey, so we don't know what happened, but your baby's not here anymore with us. Which is very likely because you know the story about how my mom almost got tricked into aborting me.
Yeah.
Because there was a really big language barrier, and the doctor made the appointment for my mom, and my mom walked in, and the nurse was like, so you are 100% consenting to this? Like, you know exactly what's going on? And my mom was like, no, I thought it was just another checkup. And it turned out that the doctor had planned to basically abort me because the doctor told my mom that I had Down syndrome and that it's best that just nip it in the bud. And my mom was like, that's crazy. I love my baby and I want her whether she's sick or not. And the
they're not sick. It's just
right.
What is it? The extra
yeah.
chromosome?
Well, in Spanish you say está malito, which means you're sick. Which and it's just different.
Yeah, different culture,
different cultures.
Time.
Yeah.
But for now, just
for the sake of the story, yeah. And the time it was like the mid 90s, and my mom was like, "Well, I'm keeping my baby, no matter what they're like. That's my baby. I love them, however." And doctor just racially like profiled my mom and was like, you Mexicans only want sick children so you guys can get government money,
and basically just saying like not wanting there to be more coming into the country by being born, because that was like an epidemic then. So like Jacqueline Nunez's story on Facebook, it
doesn't seem too far-fetched. It's just the way she's approaching the whole situation, and she doesn't really have any of that, like, not confidence. What's the word I'm looking for? Like, you know how, like, news reporters have that, you believe them, that...
Like, credibility?
That credibility. Excuse me, that credibility. She doesn't have the credibility to really talk about, like, things like this. She just sounds like a conspiracy theorist.
Right.
But if you know, you know. And so that's kind of what she's on right now. She's on that kind of stuff. Which I'm not saying, I'm not knocking it, because I think that way to some extent. It's just the way that she's approaching these things and how she's talking about it. It's kind of like...
Yeah. Well, and the way she's used her platform before does not set her up to have a great platform for this subject.
Right,
you know?
and it's just...
Anyways.
It's just crazy. Anyway, yeah, that's not my not so fun fact.
Wasn't there something else, too, with, like, the website?
Oh, yeah, the website, theconjuringhouse.com, is officially on the market. You can buy it.
That's crazy.
However much it costs. Well, I found out because I'm a part of, like, this group where there was this lady who was like, if everyone just pitches in $1, we can buy it and, you know, kind of do that. And I'm down. I'm sure you're down.
I mean, $1, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Like, then
I spend 7 times that on my coffee every day.
But that's up for sale, basically. And of course, it says, like, if you're the owner of this URL or whatever, log on to WordPress.com and buy the thing again.
I mean, it's sad, but hopefully that means there's at least a possibility for it to go into better hands now.
Yeah, but I don't know how that works. Technically, she could still own the LLC to the name of the website.
But she can't operate her business.
But she can't operate her business yet. Yeah, she's just, I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Well, that wasn't fun, but let's go into something not as fun, or even less fun.
All right.
Okay.
Not so fun facts with marbles.
I feel like you were holding your breath.
I was. All right. So, imagine that you just... I know you know this. You know all these spooky things.
I'm going to feel really dumb if I don't.
I know you will know this. Okay. So, imagine you just start talking and you just can't stop talking, and you're just talking for the rest of your life, and eventually you just die of, like, exhaustion from not being able to stop talking.
Where is this going?
So there's this weird plague that broke out in 1518.
Wait. Okay, go ahead.
Do you know?
I might. Continue.
Okay. It's called the Dancing Plague of 1518.
I was hoping someone, like, might have, like, suggested this at some point, but then also not, because... You're doing it for a fun fact. Yeah. I don't think I would have had a whole episode with it.
Yeah. I think this is why it's like a good little...
Yeah. Okay. Let's hear. I'm glad you're doing it then. Yay.
So it all started when this woman in France just started dancing suddenly in the streets. And she danced for days, and she was just seemingly unable to stop. And then soon, by the end of the month, around 400 people were caught just... relentlessly dancing, and that's just weird. That's just like, how does that even, you know? And because of this, I mean, these people just weren't able to stop, so it just they just collapsed from, like, exhaustion. Some of them had strokes, some of them had heart attacks because they were just tired, you know, like, just couldn't stop. And some even died from this. And there was, like, no known cure, so some local authorities were just saying, like, just dance, just, like, dance it off. That's like the best way. It became, like,
a spectacle, didn't it? Like, people would go and, like, watch it at one point.
Yeah, because they didn't know they were, like, it was like a flash mob. Imagine
an involuntary flash mob. For real, though, because it was just her at one time, and then a couple more people, and then eventually, like, hundreds of people. Dude. Oh, my God.
And eventually, they actually even hired, like, musicians to...
Yeah, I remember that.
To, like, help the people just dance it out.
They're like, well, I guess if you can't stop them.
Yeah, which honestly, they're like, oh, you can't stop, just keep going. It'll go away, I'm sure. Because there was no real, like, medicine. There's nothing to cure it, basically. So it just made things worse. And some people, some scientists, historians, if you will, have debated on what caused the plague, because they never really found out. And some of them were just saying it just caused mass hysteria, right? Just like a psychological phenomenon that's just triggered the stress. And like the 1500s were just, they weren't as sanitary, and there was lots of famine and disease. So it was like, it could have been anything, really.
Like basically like spoiled food causing like the hysteria.
Oh yeah,
that everyone ate, kind of
like
thing.
Like rye.
That's
someone said it was like from. That's like bread, right? Like rye
or like
bread.
yeast or
yeast.
Yeah,
it was like yeast. Saying that like because the rye was contaminated, it was kind of acting like a hallucinogenic.
Yeah. And that's why it affected everyone, because all
like
those
mold.
People ingested it.
Yeah, mold similar to LSD.
That's got to be like that's got to be like one of the most like logical, like reasons,
believable reasons.
But how does it go on for like weeks and weeks and weeks?
And weeks and weeks and weeks.
That's the part that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, because eventually you come down from like a high like that.
Yeah, it's gonna come out of your system. Like they were going to the bathroom, like wall dancing. So it was like eventually all getting out of there,
Right. But that contamination is called ergot. Something like that. Ergot. But apparently ergot poisoning usually just causes convulsions and not prolonged dancing.
Really?
And no way. And others were just saying that it was like some divine punishment by the saint Vitus, the patron saint of dancing and epilepsy. And people feared that
saint of epilepsy.
People feared that upsetting him could lead to uncontrolled dancing. These were just like religious people saying, like, oh my God, I offended.
Doesn't really sound like a saint to me.
I don't know. But by the end of the plague, after 2 months and the dancing finally subsided, survivors were taken to a shrine dedicated to Saint Vitus, where they performed a religious ritual to be cured. And the event was never repeated on that big of a scale, but there were like smaller similar outbreaks sort of like that around Europe during that time.
Interesting. I don't know if I've heard about like the aftershocks.
Yeah, I never heard of. I feel like this is
I think
familiar.
I've told you about this event before.
But I was like curious after reading about this, because I was like, why does this, and I might have mentioned this to you also, or asked you, or maybe we talked about it or something. Now this sounds very familiar, but I was like, this sounds kind of familiar to, or similar to the Hocus Pocus, when the people
and they're like under the trance.
Yeah, when they get,
Okay.
So I thought there was like a correlation between the two, or maybe if Hocus Pocus got inspired by it.
Oh, interesting.
So I couldn't find anything that like directly linked the two, I guess.
That's a cool theory, though.
Yeah.
I like it.
You're right. And then
because it's like it could have been a witch.
It could have been a witch. But there was I found this thing called the 12 Dancing Princesses. It's a grim fairy tale. Ooh. Where princesses secretly dance all night until their shoes are worn out. And not the same, but kind of the same. Like,
and throwing it back to last week's episode, I like it.
With the
Brothers Grimm.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
But that's kind of all I really.
Nice. That's good research, babe. Good job. There were some things I didn't even know.
Thank you.
That was a fun fact. Like, not including the like deaths that took place because of it, but the rest of it is like very interesting. Yeah, and, like fascinating to me.
Well, I also kind of thought about when I was reading like the religious part of it or whatever, people saying that it was like a curse because they were something about Saint Patron, whatever.
Saint Patron, whatever.
Yeah, just the madness.
You're gonna get cursed now, babe.
No, I'm not.
No, you're not.
Having the madness, like kind of the craziness of the disease. It just reminded me also of maybe like the Black Swan. Maybe this is a stretch, but like the Black Swan, because it's like the Black Swan. She has kind of like the evilness in her. I don't know. She literally
goes like insane. From like the pressure or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. I just thought about like the religious part of it. How these people probably thought they had some sort of evil thing in them, or maybe even cursed like that. And the Black Swan, she also is like, she has like this madness in her that just kind of evolves into
all of these like correlations I never would have thought of before. Damn.
I was just picking my nose. Sorry. Yes, same. But yeah, that's my not so fun fact.
Thank you. I love it. That was a good one.
Thank you.
I'm so happy we got to talk about it on here because I didn't know, like, that took like less than 10 minutes. So it wouldn't have been an episode and I would have been sad not to talk about it. So yeah. Yay, good job.
Thank you.
You ready for mine?
Of course.
Yay. Okay, so since this is technically our Valentine's episode, because it's like 2 days from when this airs, my present to Marlene is that I am covering one of the topics that she suggested.
Wow.
You're welcome.
Thank you. She does love me.
I do sometimes.
Same.
I know. That's why I said it. Okay, so this is one of the true crime stories that you suggested.
Okay.
It is the story of Matthew Shepard.
Oh, no.
I know. Thanks a lot.
Hey, yeah, I got plenty more to make you sad, but...
Oh, great. Why do you keep like suggesting true crime stories, and it's a little heavy, man. I need some fun, like, little ghosty stories to break things up.
Hey, we opened it up to...
We did.
So it's your...
I just, this hits home, man. It was hard. Okay. Let's just get into it. Rip the Band-Aid off. So, Matthew Shepard was born on December 1st, 1976, in Casper, Wyoming. There's some ghostiness.
There you go, Casper the Ghost.
Perfect. He was a sensitive, soft-spoken, kind young boy. He grew up going to public school in Casper until his junior year of high school. This is when his family moved to Saudi Arabia, where his father worked in oil safety engineering.
That just already sucks because I never had to move schools like that or anything, but I've heard.
Yeah, especially your junior year of high school. Yeah, different countries too.
Like
it's
a different part of the world. Oh my God.
That must have been hard.
Yeah.
Matthew ended up completing high school at the American School in Switzerland, actually, where he studied German, Italian, and theater, and got really involved in music and fashion.
That's really cool.
It is, it's cool to have that, under your belt, at least, he took advantage of being over there.
Yeah, 100%. I wish, schools offered more things like that, you know.
And this wasn't even, this was the American school in Switzerland, but it's still probably better than the regular schools here.
I mean, it's Switzerland.
Yeah, what do you expect?
That's that and Denmark and freaking what's that new
Finland.
Why was I thinking
Newfoundland?
But
it's spelled Foundland.
Finland, Denmark, Switzerland,
Norway.
Yeah,
they're all better than us. Okay, so Matthew, he was gay, and this is relevant to the story, but it was unclear in my research whether he actually ever came out to his family or not, but it seems as if they always knew whether or not he actually told them.
It's because sometimes you just know. Sometimes you just see someone and you just don't even have to ask.
Yeah.
Don't ask, don't tell.
Wow, that was sassy. Okay, so back to the story. There wasn't really a good segue to throw that in there, but it had to be said.
His homosexuality?
Yes,
It's fine.
Yes, he was
if
homosexual.
If you don't know by now, you should know, we are homosexuals.
Yeah, we're kind of married.
We're kind of legally married.
It's weird. I'm a wife.
Whoa.
What?
Wives?
Gross. Okay, never mind. Not really. It's a joke.
Love, weird. Love, ill. Happy Valentine's Day.
Oh, yeah. Happy Valentine's Day. Okay, so yeah, back to the story. We're already getting sad. So during Matthew's senior year of high school, he took a trip with 3 of his classmates to Morocco. Unfortunately, this trip would end up traumatizing Matthew.
Jeez.
While in Morocco, he was robbed, beaten, and sexually assaulted to like the worst degree by a gang of locals. Police attempted to catch the perpetrators, but they were never found.
Also, just like a quick note on that, like just Africa as a continent in general isn't very open to like homosexuality.
Right.
That's why it's very important if you're part of the LGBT community.
And Q while we're at it, and IA, and every other
letter in the
that exists.
Gay bit. Or we see you and love you. Anyway, yeah, do your research before you travel, because especially if you're traveling with your partner, sometimes you don't know.
And just like how ironic that is probably why he got assaulted, but was sexually assaulted by other men.
Because it's closeted stuff. That's literally, if you ever read The Kite Runner.
Internal homophobia?
Yeah, if you ever read The Kite Runner, spoiler alert, it's, again, it's also one of my favorite books ever. I cry every time I read it, every time I see the movie. Anyway, one of the boys gets, assaulted, and that's what they do to bully him.
So messed up.
How does that's weird, bro.
Yeah. Which, by the way, also I want to point out, because I don't want to say it on here, because you just have to be careful, but I mean, he was sexually assaulted in the worst way, and I don't want to diminish the severity of that, because there's other forms. So he was fully sexually assaulted, and I just don't want to say the word.
Yeah,
because there's a difference. So.
I think just think of the worst, and that's exactly what happened.
Yes. Yeah. So, but yeah, they never caught whoever did that to him. But after the assault, Matthew received therapeutic treatment, but he of course still had flashbacks, panic attacks, and nightmares. He experienced periods of paranoia, depression, anxiety, and suicidal thoughts.
Can I just interrupt really quickly? So my whole point is talking about The Kite Runner is that The Kite Runner set in Afghanistan, where it's very, you can't even, your wife can't even show her face.
Different culture, for sure.
Different culture, very anti-gay. Everything, I guess. Yeah. So that's why I thought of that because of the cultures and how it's like.
Yeah. Yeah, just, like she said, do your research, because there's plenty of countries that are even more tolerant than the U.S. 100%.
Like Switzerland, Denmark.
Yeah. Everyone just, let's all go over there. Yeah. Do you guys have room for us? There's a lot of fields over there. We won't put too much gentrification into it. We just need a place to live. Okay, so so he's still really struggling. But despite all of this, Matthew still continued on. After high school, he attended a small liberal arts school in North Carolina to pursue theater. And after some time, he ended up moving back to his hometown of Casper, Wyoming to attend community college. I was just saying, bro, he's figuring out his life.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, college is a whole experience, definitely. Yeah. While attending this school, a teacher of his actually introduced him to a girl who was also gay. And the two of them became pretty close, and they ended up moving to Denver, Colorado together. While living here, Matthew would end up working a string of random part-time jobs, but he always knew that his passion was helping people. So in 1998, he moved back to Wyoming to attend his parents' alma mater, University of Wyoming. Now, even though this is a university, it is in the city of, I think it's Laramie. That sounds right. Which is actually like kind of a small town. Like it's around 30-something thousand people, or at least was at the time. And Matthew thought living in a small town would help him feel safe after what he's been through. So at the University of Wyoming, Matthew studied political science and international relations, and he wanted to pursue a foreign service career. Because also, he's lived abroad, so right, yeah. I'm sure he has an interest in that.
Yeah.
He also joined the university's LGBT Student Alliance, which is all it was called. I mean, it was 1998, so.
Yeah. And it was called LGBT then, too?
Yeah, LGBT. Yeah, so that's pretty good. We don't have the rest of the letters, but that's still pretty good.
I mean, that's
in Wyoming. Something. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he joined that student alliance.
I mean, he seems like a pretty well-rounded individual.
Yeah. He was known to be like polite, thoughtful, and like a great conversationalist. So it was like a great fit for him.
I'm sure he was like a really cool friend too.
Yeah.
Like with all those stories.
He seems so
Yeah.
Like he seems so like
interesting,
cultured, and like just nice and like a good friend. You're right.
I wouldn't mind him being our roommate.
Yeah, I feel like I'd be fine with that.
Yeah, I can rely on him on,
doing the dishes that I don't do. Probably.
Yeah.
Wow. So we're getting sad again. On October 6th, 1998, just a few months after he started school, Matthew met up with friends to plan LGBT Awareness Week. And afterwards, he wanted to grab a beer, but he couldn't convince anyone to join him. So Matthew headed to the Fireside Lounge, a local dive bar, on his own. He ended up chatting with two roofing workers, Russell Henderson and Aaron McKinney. After talking for a while, the two men offered Matthew a ride home. But once in the car, Aaron pulled a gun on Matthew, beat him with it, and took his wallet, which only had $20 in it.
What the fuck?
The two men then drove Aaron about a mile out of town down a dirt path that ended in a rocky prairie of sagebrush. Once they got there, Russell used a clothesline to tie Matthew to a log fence. Then Aaron began to pistol whip him with his gun.
What the fuck?
Matthew was struck in the head between 19 and 21 times with the butt of a very large Smith & Wesson revolver. Aaron and Russell then stole Matthew's leather shoes and left him to die. Still alive, Matthew ended up being tied to that fence for 18 hours. Just straight out in the frigid cold. The next evening, a teenager was riding his bike nearby and fell off of it, which is when he noticed what he first thought was a fallen down scarecrow. But he quickly realized it was a person and contacted the authorities.
This
is a tough one, babe.
I know. So some of these like hate crimes like this sometimes just happen because it's not because the person. Obviously it is because the person's gay, because that's where it starts.
That's what the hate is.
That's what the hate is, but it's because also it's very likely that the person that caused this harm to this individual actually felt something that he wasn't comfortable with himself feeling. Like the uncomfortable straight man probably felt attraction to this gay man and was like, I'm gonna kill you because you're making me feel things.
That makes sense.
That's what happens sometimes is because they feel things, and
that's part of the internal homophobia.
Yes, and it's like, dude, it's totally fine. it's human to feel attraction. It's fine, bro. I just hate things like that. Like, just let yourself feel, dude.
I hate this whole entire story that you made me research.
I'm sorry.
So policewoman Reggie Flutie responded to the scene, and when she first saw Matthew, he was on his back with his arms behind him. His respirations were far and few in between. She attempted to open his mouth to clear his airway, but it was clamped shut.
What the fuck?
I think it's like a body's like reaction to trauma or
like
something.
Kind of like your jaws just clenched, maybe.
Yeah. This part. Oh my god. Okay. She remembers trying to revive him, saying, "Baby boy, I'm here, kiddo. You're going to be okay. Hang in there. Don't give up. Come on, you can do this." David almost like started crying at that part. Oh my god. Okay. So Matthew was rushed to the hospital while in a coma, where it was discovered that he had suffered 4 skull fractures and a crushed brainstem from the attack, as well as hypothermia from being left out.
Like, that's unnecessary, bro.
A crushed brainstem from, like, hitting him with a gun.
Like, what the fuck? Oh my god, this shit pisses me off. It's unnecessary, bro.
I know. The sheriff on the case said the only time he's seen that dramatic of injuries was after high-speed traffic crashes.
What the fuck, dude?
Matthew's parents, who were still living in Saudi Arabia, by the way, immediately flew out to the States when they heard what happened to their son.
Imagine that 20-hour flight back home.
Yeah. There's nothing you can do while you're trying to get back to your son. But just think and think and think. Oh my God.
Just hoping that your son survives these injuries, knowing that he very well might not survive these injuries.
And there's nothing you can do to help.
Oh my God.
It's horrible. Apparently Matthew was so unrecognizable to his parents that the only like recognizable part of him was like his braces. They're like, well, yeah, that's him. That's his braces. But the rest of his face, it was under a bunch of bandages. It was swollen. Like, he didn't look like himself at all. Matthew remained in a coma. And the tragically ironic thing is that one of his attackers, Aaron McKinney, was in a hospital bed right down the hall from Matthew. He had received a hairline fracture of the skull after instigating a fight just a few hours after attacking Matthew.
So he was very clearly not like super under the influence, inebriated, if he's over here beating on a
somebody else, who knows who. But, well, he got it was a fight, but he started it. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So he did this crime over here, went back to wherever the hell they were, and then started another fight.
Clearly wasn't fazed by
whatever the fuck he did, because he was very likely, no excuse, under the influence, and was just on a fucking rampage.
Yeah. But yeah, he was just down the hall from someone he just brutally attacked.
But they didn't know this yet. Like, the people going to see Matthew didn't know this, because I would have been fucking pissed.
No, I don't think so.
And I would have been like, just yank the cords off this motherfucker. Don't let the bitch live, you know?
Yeah. So
I would have been fucking pissed.
I know.
I'm like already pissed. My legs shaking.
She is shaking. She's ready. I
hate this. I
know. It was your idea.
I know.
So Matthew stayed in his coma for 5 days, and on October 12th, 1998 at 12:53 a.m., he succumbed to his injuries and passed away.
Poor kid.
I believe his parents did get to at least say goodbye, but he wasn't conscious for it, but at least they made it there before he died, because I know that I would, not that it was their fault at all, but I would never forgive myself if I came into the country like to my dead son,
Yeah, I mean, also you just have to remember, like, you being that young and being like in college and wanting to do your own thing, and his parents seem like just very open-minded and very supportive. Yeah, so they, like.
No, I know, but I'm glad they at least got to be there with him. Yeah, it's so sad. Okay, so shortly after this, police found a bloody gun as well as Matthew's shoes and wallet in Aaron McKinney's truck.
Wow.
Both him and Russell Henderson were arrested.
Good.
Yeah. After being interrogated, the two of them revealed that they saw Matthew to be an easy target to rob, given his small stature.
What the fuck?
They also said that before approaching Matthew, they went into the bathroom and, like, talked it out, and they decided to act gay to gain his trust.
You mean act like their true selves?
I don't know. We don't know the details on that.
You're right.
So, yeah, they're literally just, like, intending to rob this kid, but tying him up and, like, mercilessly beating him 20 times with a gun is more than just a robbery to me.
Yeah, that's overdoing it.
There was hate behind those actions.
100%.
And Aaron said they believed Matthew was dead when they left him there. So they, like, full consciously, like...
did it to kill him.
With intention, brutally murdered him for $20 in his wallet. Like, that's not a robbery.
And leather shoes. No,
that's not your normal robbery.
No, that's hate. That's just hate.
Absolute hate. And they didn't blink twice about it. They were off a few hours later doing other shit.
Picking fights.
Yeah, they didn't even, like, it wasn't even a blip on their radar of their day. Like, it was just something they went and did. It was the whole human life.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So both Aaron and Russell were convicted of felony murder and kidnapping, and each of them received 2 consecutive life terms. So good.
Yeah.
Like, because I feel like, because I mean, I'm assuming, I guess I haven't looked up pictures yet, but I'm assuming they were white men, so it definitely could have not gone that way, because we definitely know a lot of, like, privileged people that have gotten off the hook a lot easier than that.
He is currently our president.
Oh,
congratulations, America. Okay.
Wasn't us. Yeah, so I mean, at least he had his justice.
Yeah.
After death.
Yeah.
Doesn't make it okay, but it's the least that can happen. So Matthew's memorial service was held in his hometown of Casper, Wyoming on October 16th, 1998, and was attended by over 700 people, consisting of family and friends all around the world. Unfortunately, though, protesters from Westboro Baptist Church also attended the service and picketed the funeral with homophobic signs.
They can also go fuck themselves.
Yeah.
And I have a
you
big
call yourself. Oh my god!
I have a big opinion on Westboro Baptist, but also Baptists in general that I'm not going to get into because I will get canceled. But
basically, I don't think you're following God's will. That's all I have to say.
You're literally spewing hate on a dead kid.
He was like 21, I think.
Yeah. Dude, how is that Jesus' attitude? How is that Jesus' material?
What would Jesus do? Probably not that.
Not that.
Just saying.
Dude.
But to combat this bigotry, one of Matthew's friends, Patterson, they organized a group now called Angel Action. It sounds a little weird, but I think it's, like, different and, like, obviously with better intentions. But they wore white robes and angelic wings, and they blocked the protesters.
White robes, no caps, no hats.
Right.
Just white robes. Jesus robes with angel wings.
Yes. Basically, they were, like...
angels.
They were angels protecting Matthew from these hateful people. So... since the attack on Matthew had so much media coverage, his death was front and center on the outcry against anti-gay hate and violence. Now, even though Aaron and Russell constantly spouted, like, anti-gay comments throughout their trials, they were not charged with a hate crime.
That's fucking crazy. That's mind-blowing.
1998 for you.
What the fuck?
I know.
Even though they were like, we pretended to be gay,
right?
To, like,
yeah,
kidnap this gay man and then kill him.
The sheriff on the case was saying, like, so sexual orientation, like, was already a factor at the beginning of this whole story. Like,
dude, literally what I said.
Yeah.
2 straight men, supposedly straight men, pretended to be gay to target a gay man to kill him. How was that not hate crime?
When they wanted just $20 from him.
They didn't even know how much he had.
No.
They were... I feel like all that just... I don't know. No, that's hate. Yeah. That's a hate crime. Yeah. And they deserve the chair.
So, obviously, this made people mad. It sparked protests, vigils, and calls for federal legislation to protect LGBT victims of violence. On October 28th, 2009, over 11 years after Matthew's murder, President Barack Obama signed into law the Matthew Shepard and James Byrd Jr. Hate Crimes Prevention Act. So it took a while, but something was done. This legislation expanded the definition of the federal hate crime law by including crimes instigated by an individual's perceived gender or gender identity and revising the collection standards for biases motivated by sexual orientation, race, and ethnicity. Matthew's parents also created the Matthew Shepard Foundation, whose mission is for, quote, individuals to embrace human dignity and diversity and to replace hate with understanding, compassion, and acceptance. You know, a bunch of crazy liberal stuff.
Fucking liberals.
God forbid.
Wanting love and
compassion.
Peace in the world.
What's that?
Yo, bring in the guns, bro. Start the wars.
Also, Matthew, he did have a little brother, Logan, who he was very close with. And Logan is actually a staff member at the Matthew Shepard Foundation, and he oversees its daily operations. Matthew's story has also been portrayed in a play called The Laramie Project, a musical called Considering Matthew Shepard, and multiple feature-length films, documentaries, and songs. And that was the story of Matthew Shepard. Rest in peace, Matthew.
Rip, dude. Yo, this is a perfect example of, like, how change happens in a community in the United States. Like, when you really want a change and you really believe in something, like, change happens very slowly. And I feel like a lot of people get frustrated when we go out and protest and nothing is changing and it's just overlooked, and it hurts because you just still feel the injustice.
Right. And it's like, what's the point? But
right, but even 11 years later, like, Matthew still got his family, you know, got peace. And
right. Like, something's being done, so at least, like, there's more protection to people that have the same, like, fate as their son.
Which is why nowadays it's a huge deal. So first of all, I'm very politically, my DNA is politically infused, I would say. So, you know, if you're not into politics, or if you're listening to distract yourself from politics right now, it's kind of hard to not talk about. Like,
it is, because it is in politics,
right? Because
it's like our livelihood also, and rights.
So my whole point in saying that is the whole thing with the DEI being lifted and companies being able to discriminate. Like,
it's just wild that it takes like 11 years for something like this to come into place for Matthew, and like all of that work is just being undone and stripped away.
It's just being
in like a month and a half,
just erased, like
wild.
Completely eradicated, and people are like okay with it,
just living their lives.
Dude.
Like, well, it's not affecting me, so
like,
right. Empathy is a thing. You're allowed to, like, feel empathy for someone that is going through this, even if you don't know them.
Right. And I think this is why this story is just really this story, and the story of this transgender guy, Brandon Tina, who the movie Boys Don't Cry is based off of. I cannot watch Boys Don't Cry and not cry. Like, it's devastating. The saddest thing ever, bro. Like people are being murdered for being themselves, and it's like being murdered for being brown, and being murdered for being white, and being murdered for being female. And it's just like,
it's infuriating. It
is infuriating. And that's why, like, in this state right now, and I'm gonna sound like that cringe meme, the economic and political state of the world right now, like, it's really important, though, you know?
These truly are unprecedented times.
Even if they're not affecting you, they're affecting people that also love you, and people that you love as well. And it's like, how are you going to overlook things that aren't going to, quote unquote, affect you, but you're going to let other people that you know live in fear on a day-to-day basis? And you're still voting for these things, and you're still supporting this bigotry. And but I don't think that way, though.
Right.
You know, that's just fucking ridiculous.
And then it only matters to them when they have to pay more money for their eggs. And they're like, okay, wait, maybe now I take it back because of the eggs, but not because of people having their rights taken away.
Right.
Or being killed.
Or like having the tariffs raised and only targeting red states. Like, it's going to affect you too, dude. Yeah. Come on, bro.
We could go on for another hour about this, but yeah, this was a really relevant story and made me a little bit depressed.
But I'm very sorry.
It was an important story.
It's very important,
and it was a very sad story, but it was something that should still be talked about, like, for decades more after 100%. It's happened.
So my final words in this are just love everybody. Mm-hmm. Our differences aren't as disconnected. Not disconnected. Our differences are very similar to your differences in different aspects. But they're the same, is what I'm trying to say. I don't think I'm making any sense. In my head, it makes sense. And at the end, we're all the same.
We're all human.
Yeah, we're all human. We're gonna fucking die, so might as well make it as pleasant as possible for everyone.
And just stop the hate.
Stop the hate.
It doesn't do anything for anybody, so please just stop the hate.
Stop hating, bro. Stop
and going
hating.
out of your way to, like, make someone else's life miserable.
Yeah.
Because, like, what the hell?
The IRS is still gonna come for you.
So in the end, we really are all the same.
Just worry about yourself and your taxes, okay?
Man.
But don't tell anyone else how to be an activist and an American, because we all can express our American rights our own ways. And I think a lot of people nowadays with these protests are forgetting how revolutions begin and how policies change. And it's not pretty. Coup d'etats are coup d'etats for a reason, and it's not always peaceful. It sounds funny, but
isn't it coup d'etat?
A coup d'etat. Did I say coup?
Coup d'etat.
Oh, it's because that's how you spell it.
It is.
A coup d'etat, a revolution, they don't start peaceful. So don't come at me, because I will literally fucking wreck your opinion on peaceful protests. And that's all I want to say about that. Yeah. But I'm very much an activist at heart.
We're for the change.
And we would have been hippies in the 70s and 60s if we were fucking,
if we were there.
100%. And Woodstock, I would have convinced Alyssa to go to Woodstock with me. Anyway.
I was like, as long as we can stay on the outskirts, you get me like a grilled cheese and just sit there and enjoy the music.
Does anyone want to change?
I'll trade you my shirt for a grilled cheese. The most obscure Family Guy quote that no one's gonna know. We had to lighten the mood somehow, but that's enough. I'm emotionally exhausted. We're gonna go order Chili's. We appreciate it. Ooh, wow. We appreciate you guys listening.
We appreciate everything. Thank you. We see you. We see your clicks. We see your views. We see your hearts on Instagram.
We see your suggestions, and we want to see more.
Yes,
where can
please.
they send them?
You can send them over to what's your favorite scary story, don't cancel me at gmail.com.
That last part of the email is a joke.
Yeah, it's just what's your favorite scary story at gmail.com. Or you can send them over to
our DMs on Instagram, which is also what's your favorite scary story. We are probably going to go watch like a Disney movie or something. Cheer us up.
But our emails, our DMs are open for there. It's an open discussion. I recently, I have hours to talk about this, but I recently had a discussion with someone who I did open up my personal stories on Instagram about protest, and this person was like very kindly, we don't have to be violent in protests, and I was like, so why is it okay for war to be so American, so patriotic, yeah. But once I start being violent with my protest, I'm so un-American now. War is definitely worse, and that doesn't make me patriotic because I'm supporting killing innocent people.
They're killing people. You're just trying to make your voice heard.
Yeah.
There's a difference. I was trying to.
I'm sorry.
Away from the seriousness. We're heated. We gotta go, you guys.
I am sweating. But yeah, our DMs, everything's open for a conversation.
If you guys need to like confide or need like a safe place to go, we are it. Don't
if you want an open convo, dude, just put Dear Marlene, I fucking hate you. You're an idiot, and your views on politics are fucking absurd. I totally respect it. And I'll have an open conversation with you. Anyway, we love you. We appreciate you. We see you. Thank you in advance for everything. And
we're going to go order Chili's now. And remember to
stay spooky.